Hey guys, I'm SJ, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, I'm SJ, mum of 3. I'm just at the end of my 3rd maternity leave with Evelina. So she has just turned 1. She's playing here really nicely by herself. So thought I would jump on and chat to you about some tips and ways to make sure that you really enjoy maternity leave. I'm talking maternity leave specifically, but this is sort of applies to just being a full-time mum, doesn't it really? It might sound like a weird topic because you feel like, well, I'm going to enjoy maternity leave. Like, I can't wait to be on maternity leave, can't wait to leave work, can't wait to play with my baby. Look at that walking. But actually then you go on maternity leave and just the process of leaving work, being at home all day. Being at home all day like I have been today and that I have been all year. Leaving work is a massive deal, and the people you see are different, the time you have is different, your routine is totally different to your partner's. Hi! And as much as I love you, and I love you so much, I do, there are things that I've learned over my maternity leaves that have just made me enjoy it all the more. And I thought I'd share them. Are you funny? Sorry about her, but I'm guessing if you're watching this, you're on maternity leave and the baby noise and the baby mess won't bother you. So first tip is to get your childcare sorted super duper early so it's not hanging over your head. If you're going back to work after 6 months or a year, it can be really stressful thinking, what am I going to do? And I found I was always counting down to that day. So get your childcare sorted really early, and I will link a video I did below about what type of childcare and the different options between childminder, nursery, nanny. Basically, just you can get them already on the waiting list for a nursery when you're pregnant. You have a childminder lined up super early when they've got availability coming up, and we hired our nanny say in the June to start in the like October. It just takes the pressure off knowing that that is sorted so that you can really focus and enjoy your time with your baby. She's been playing so nicely by herself, and as soon as I start chatting to you guys, as is typical, pick up the phone, don't you? They just go nuts. But my second tip is probably my biggest one, and that is to plan your week out. So I have a weekly planner and I sit and plan that every single Sunday, so I know what I'm doing every single day, and I spread my activities out. So if I have a play group one day and a friend wants to meet me on that same day, I'm like, no, I'm busy, can you do 2 days later? So that I'm not doing all my social stuff on one day, because sometimes a blank diary was the biggest change for me. Like, after being like a busy working mum to suddenly being like, I've got no plans on my horizon, was horrible for me, and I hated it. And your friends were all working or whatever, and I just, even if it was just like a half an hour coffee, that might be the only thing I had to do that day, but I would make sure it was on a day where there was nothing else, so I had something every single day. The other way that I do my weekly planning is plan one day at home and then one day out. I'm not a big fan of being at home all day with the kids, especially with all 3, because the house gets a total tip, which is one thing which doesn't really bother me, but it's more just keeping them all entertained in the home is so stressful. I still don't feel that she's been stimulated enough or had enough fresh air. And my problem is I go out too much. I'm like Miss Activity Mum, and I like to do activity in the morning and in the afternoon. So I have to plan my days that there's also a day in within that schedule, and that helped me to have the pyjama days, and then knowing I didn't feel guilty about that because the next day we were going to the playground for the afternoon or something. So planning your activities, even if it is just playground, jigsaw puzzles, will really help you, and having the one day in and one day out. My other top tip, which has changed my experience being home with the baby, is podcasts. Honestly, I'm addicted to podcasts, and when you're at home and you're kind of, you can listen to your own music and that can kind of get you, you know, cheer you up or whatever, but podcasts are so good. You can listen to really educational ones or TED Talks, but I like listening to ones that just make me laugh. I love My Dad Wrote a Porno. It was the #1 podcast I think last year, and because the baby is so little, you can listen to it, but it is definitely not for older children in the house. But just now I did all my laundry, folded it all up, listening to that with Evelina, and I feel like I've had a good old laugh because it is so funny. Serial, the podcast, is like a crime mystery one. That's what totally got me into podcasts, and I would sit doing Play-Doh with Finn but listening to something that I was really interested in, because you don't have time to sit and watch a TV show of your own, which, or I'd feel guilty for doing that, but listening to podcasts is brilliant. I love Married and Tired by JK and Charlie. If you like a kind of parenting one, it's hilarious as well. They're like a couple, they're like vloggers, radio presenters, and it just is such a good way of passing your time but doing all the chores. think about playgroups. I speak to lots of mums who really don't like playgroups, and I do like playgroups. I've always been like miss going down to playgroups, love it, giving out the teas and coffees, like I'm into playgroups, but I'm not into socialising at playgroups. I know that sounds weird, but it's very hard, and you always feel like the one on your own, don't you? And remember that another day you might go with a friend, and then you look like the one not on their own, and try to remember to approach another mum on their own. I've met really good friends at playgroups and at soft plays, and it is a good place for that. But if you're not comfortable socialising at those things, don't avoid them, because it's not about socialising. Remember, you always have your little buddy, your little plus one. Like, I was super happy to go to playgroup and just totally focus on Evelina or Freddie or Finn, whoever I was with in that maternity leave. And it might have looked at antisocial, but don't put that pressure on yourself that this is a social situation for mum hangouts. Just see it as a really fun little time for you and your child to be together. They play so much better at playgroups. They really love it. They get the stimulation from seeing friends their own age. And I always look on my local Facebook page of mums. So I'm in the Facebook page of my area. Loads of people post about playgroups and stuff to do on there, and it's a really easy way of finding what's on. Another top tip, which is a bit different again, is to buy some nice things for your house. When I was first on maternity with Finn, I realised I was going to be in my house all day, every day, and I felt like I was just in these four walls, and it just used to sometimes depress me that the house wasn't kind of how I wanted it. We're renting, we've literally just bought this house about 4 months ago now, and we're just doing it up. But in that rental, I just literally spent maybe £100. I went out and bought lots of nice little things for the home, and I said to my husband, it's going to make a big difference to me that there's a nice picture on the wall that I love, or a little candle that I like, because this is now my full-time environment. I'm here on the weekends, I'm here during the week. So if you have a little bit of money, go out and buy a few little things for the house that are just gonna cheer you up. And for me anyway, like a little bunch of flowers or a little pot plant makes a massive difference, that you're happy in the environment that you're in. Date nights are really hard for us. I cannot say that we have been on any date nights, have we? Any maybe since we've had Evelina? Maybe one, like maybe a couple, but not very many, because we don't have family nearby who we leave the kids with, and we're not good at leaving them with sitters that we don't know. And I was breastfeeding Evelina. But if you do get that opportunity to go out and do a date night, then do it. And our top tip for going out on those kind of date nights is to go with another couple. And that sounds really funny, but I find that when it's just the two of us, we would end up talking about the kids, or talking about, you know, the fridge or something just really dull and boring. And it was a bit like going out and doing a to-do list. And obviously you can make sure you don't have those topics off limit. But we found that if we go out with other friends, it was suddenly just such a laugh, and there was like more of you. So we always try now, for booking a date night, use that to see some friends as well. And another one is to have a project, have a personal project. You know, you've got a year, you've got 6 months, 4 months, whatever long it is, or however long it is. Think about something that you want to do that's just for you. So when I had Finn, I was off for a year. I joined a choir, and I'd always wanted to be in a choir. I absolutely love singing, and I'd never had the guts to be in a choir, but I joined when he was 4 months old, and it meant an hour out of the house once a week. It meant that during the week I had these like songs to practice, and it was just felt like it was a fun thing to do. It wasn't super sociable because you were like singing, but we would sometimes, like, you know, every few weeks there might be like, let's go to the pub together in the evening or something like that after the singing. And it just gave me a high. So it might be that you want to do an exercise class. I felt like exercise was too stressful for me because it was tied into my feelings about my post-baby body, which weren't good feelings. But singing was a great one. Vlogging, you know, I'm going to say give vlogging a go, because it is such a huge community of mums on YouTube, and it is a really supportive and lovely community. And you might hear like, oh, there's trolls, or what am I got to say? You know, just if you fancy it, give it a go. You know, try Instagram stories. It just gives you that real outlet, and it gives you a little bit of like an interesting thing that you're doing on top of being a full-time mum. And I found that it fits in really, really well. Like, now I can just chat to you guys, and I'm about to leave for the school run. Evelina was playing nicely. I thought, yeah, I'll pop on and like chat to you about how to enjoy your maternity leave. And it would just be a really nice little thing for me to do as an extra thing. So I know those tips are probably a little bit different. I feel like they're a bit of splattergun tips. There's a few things about activities and a few things about your mental well-being. But yeah, I hope they have been interesting. Do let me know in the comments below little tricks and tips that you have done to help you enjoy your maternity leave and your time at home. If you have enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up if you think these tips are helpful, going to help you enjoy your maternity leave. Do subscribe to follow along. I do 3 videos a week mainly sometimes. times, and I would love to have you, and I will see you soon. Bye guys.